Welcome faculty and instructors, alumni fellows, to how to actually do a presentation with MegaMeeting. You've already seen the students version of the tutorial, how to use MegaMeeting, and you've gone through parts 1, 2, and 3 of how to use MegaMeeting, how to access it. Now we're going to look at the part 1 and 2 of our final in this series of MegaMeeting of how to go ahead and actually do a presentation. In part 3 of our last tutorial series on MegaMeeting, we went and installed and saw how to use ShowMyDesktop. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is show you what your desktop, what the desktop looks like of a student when you click Show My Desktop. So, if I click Show My Desktop on another screen that I have open here, a presentation will begin shortly. If, by example, your class starts at 10 o'clock, and so at 10 o'clock you have your Show Your Desktop, or a student comes in late, this is the screen they will originally see. A presentation will begin shortly. Please wait. To make this screen go away, you either need to start your session or close your session. Now, in our case, we're going to go ahead and show my desktop. Now, I presume that you followed the instructions of part 2 and 3 of the last MegaMeeting, and you've turned off everybody's webcam but your own. Or you've also turned off your own using the host options function. Anyway, in my case, I like to keep my video alive, and in part 2 we're going to look at using split screens, where I minimize this screen and then I give a presentation and I can still see this screen to use its chat box function. In part 3 we saw that we could simply load my highlighter, which will create this fun highlighting instruction tool for those of you who like to use it. I suggest it, but you don't have to. And the start button, because by default these other buttons should be ticked the way they are ticked. If they're not, go ahead and tick them the way they are ticked here on my screen. If you forget, no big deal. The students can fit to attendee's screen on their own screen. The show video panel, if you don't have a video up and you forget to tick it, the program will remind you to go back and tick it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click our start button, and by clicking our start button it's going to do the presentation will begin shortly, will disappear, and the students will actually see the exact screen that I have on my computer. If you want an example of what that looks like, I have on YouTube a kind of a marketing piece, a recruitment piece, 8 minutes on the Diamond program itself, and I'm using the Show My Screen so you can see what it looks like from the student's point of view. Now, you see what I just did? We saw that in part 1 of our 3-part tutorial on how to use MegaMeeting. I clicked on Show My Desktop and I moved it to the corner. Meeting information, I'm moving that out of the way. I'm going to, by example, write on my chalkboard. What's my chalkboard? It's all this white area here on my screen now. I can write things like number 1, number 2, number 3. That's pretty slow, just like writing chalk. Instead, what I'm going to do is use a PowerPoint or Internet Windows or Word documents and teach from those with my video panel still viewable by the students. Now, if I just simply, let's choose my PowerPoint. If I simply just click on my PowerPoint and it takes up my whole screen, I can't see my video panel right now, but the students can. They can actually see me talking. By example, I teach with 2, sometimes 3 computers open. On my second desktop, I have a student view right now, and I can see my video panel. Sometimes I also use a laptop just to see how the bandwidth plays differently between wireless and tied-in connection. So if I were to, by example, in this frame, go ahead and view my my slideshow, it'd be taking up my entire screen just like this. However, something that's just as interesting is to minimize my slideshow. And in my case, I generally turn everything into PDF, but I can minimize my slideshow, and the students will see it exactly like I see it on my screen. And but this still allows me to see my chat box. What is my chat box? We'll deal with this in the tutorial number part 2 of this how to do a presentation on Mega Meeting series. So something that you'll find useful when you're in Mega Meeting doing a presentation is, by example, having your Westlaw TWEN course room already open at the bottom of your screen, so you can click onto, by example, let's just say that we're in Module 2 in the Financial Crimes course, Financial Crimes Institutional Security course. Well, in Module 2, let's say that I want to point out to the students a discussion question, discussion number 2, by the instructor Susan Wind, and I want to look at some of the responses directly to discussion question number 2. I can go ahead and click on these for purposes of my class observation right now, or I can use it to focus in on a different aspect of the course. By example, asking the students, has everyone seen the streamed lecture on our student website for lectures? So in this module, for this course, by example, there's an hour-long or 2-hour-long streamed lecture that the students need to go and review before they come and answer their questions in class and before they attend the live class session. So here I can use this function of show my students exactly where I'm looking at. If I need them to focus in on a particular syllabus feature, of course, as syllabus, and when the syllabus comes up, I can use my chalkboard feature, some of it, perhaps choosing the color red. Your final grade is based on this. You need to now show students where I'm doing research and how. So by example, I could have DPOR open, click on one of the tax treaty case law, and pull up a tax treaty, or I can have it and focus in on my Word document, and I use my highlighter function to 7 and look at some statutory language or tax treaty language that I've pulled into page 57. Okay, that's all I wanted to show you for part 1. I'm going to end this tutorial and we'll move on to part 2 here in YouTube.